What's up, everybody? Well, I am back at the lanes, and today we're going to do a special video. I've seen a lot of other bowling content creators here on YouTube doing pin up versus pin down, okay? But in the no thumb bowling world, whether you're two-handed or one-handed, that doesn't make a difference. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a pin up versus a pin over layout when it comes to no thumb bowling. So we're going to have a lot of information in this video. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things, and I'm going to show you the arsenal I'm going to be using. I went ahead and I sanded every single ball in my arsenal down to box finish, okay? So from the factory. And that'll give you an idea of what we're going to be running today, okay? So with my arsenal, I have the original Black Widow, which is a slight pin over and up. I have my Freeze Hybrid from Columbia 300, which is a pin over. I have my Storm Invasion, which is a pin up ball. And then the ones that are going to be showing you the most difference are identical. These are both Columbia 300 U-turns that weigh 16 pounds. One of them is a pin up, which is my Chewbacca ball, and the other one is a pin over, which is my Vader ball, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and take a couple of throws and we'll go ahead and talk about some stuff. When it comes to these two balls, their box finish is polish. This is a 4,000 from the box. This one is a 2,000 from the box, and the Black Widow is a 500 out of the box. So pay attention to this kind of stuff because we're gonna have a lot of information in this, like I told you, and you're really gonna wanna be considering this kind of stuff if you're a no thumb bowler, whether it be two-handed or one-handed, okay? So, also, one more thing about this particular video, I'm not going to be moving around on the board, and I am not going to be shooting for strikes. I am going to pick one spot on the board to aim at, and every single ball is going to get thrown down that line so that you can see the reactions, all right? So I'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, so in this video, when it comes to pin up versus pin over layouts, your PAP is your determining factor on whether you're gonna pick a ball like this with this type of layout. And this is also for the people that go and buy a used bowling ball. Once you figure out your PAP, you'll have a chance to be able to look at a bowling ball and be like, you know what, I think that ball's gonna work for me. So that's basically some of the information you wanna take into consideration too. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this particular video. My PAP has basically played a role in me selecting every single one of these because every single one of these balls I either bought from a thrift store or bought from a bowling alley. Also, when you go to a bowling alley, some of them have balls like this on the rack, not just house balls. So this video is going to really help you go through those balls that are on the rack and be able to determine whether it's a ball you're going to be able to bowl good with or not. So I'm going to go ahead and line up probably on board 30 and throw to 15, and we're going to see what happens, and then I'll start my video on ball reactions. Okay, so you guys saw that throw. That was really far over. It was actually down board 10, so I'm probably going to throw from 30 to 10 just to see what happens. I'm going to take one more throw just to see if that's where I want to make this video at, but I just figured I would cover something real quick. I went ahead and took the oil rings and drew a line all the way around on the one ring, and then went and found my PAP on the ball. Now you're going to want to do that so that you can just look at a bowling ball and kind of have a mental reference on pin distance from where your PAP is. But my PAP from center of the bridge that you measure when you're a no thumb bowler is 5 7/8 over by 1 inch down, okay? So that'll give you an idea what my PAP is. My rev rate is also 490 up to 530, and if I really want to lay into the ball, I can get up to 600. But anyway, I just figured I would show you that reference point so that you know my PAP compared to the arsenal that I'm doing this video on. So I'm going to take another throw and we're going to see what happens, and then I'm going to go ahead and start going through balls individually down the same line so I can show you the difference. And then towards the end of the video, we're actually going to compare the matching set pin up and pin over. Okay, so that last throw was with my Black Widow at a box finish of 500 grit, and it was line up with my feet on board 35, and I threw to board 15, so I'm gonna stick with that. My next throw is going to be with my Columbia 300 Freeze Hybrid, which is a pin over at box finish 2000 grit. So we're gonna see what happens with this one. Okay, so you got to see that throw with the Freeze Hybrid at a box finish of 2000 that was a pin over. It didn't have as much hook as the Black Widow. Now, with this review, with these balls and the difference in pin location, it's kind of not fair, which is why I did bring a clone set with two different drillings. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Storm Invasion now. And this one happens to be a pin-up ball, so we're gonna see from 35 down board 15 how much this one hooks down the lane, and then we'll move on to the 300 U-turns that are identical, core, weight, cover stock. The only difference is the color and the pin location, okay? So let's see how the Storm Invasion does, and we'll move on to those. All right, so as you can see, I get a different reaction from each one of the bowling balls that have a different layout. Now, each one of those layouts is 3/4 of a difference from each other, which is just enough to change the core value to make that much difference in the ball. The reason I did those three first is because not a lot of people go and buy the identical ball with multiple layouts. They usually go buy different balls. So with those being reviewed just like that down board 15, it gives you an idea of how you would be able to use them in your arsenal to be able to switch to your lane conditions and pick the ball that's right for you. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go to my actual U-turns, which are absolutely identical minus the pin layout and color. And we're gonna throw down the same line, feet on 35, 15 at the arrows, and we're gonna see the difference in ball reaction, because if you notice, the Black Widow picked up really early in the mid lane and hooked really hard. The Freeze Hybrid kind of picked a little late in the mid lane and tried to hook as hard as it can, and as you can see from the Storm Invasion, which is actually at a 4,000 grit sanding out of the box, it didn't really want to pick up in the mid lane that much, and it really didn't want to hook that hard into the pocket. So I hope that gives you an idea. Now it's on to the actual pin up, pin down, or pin up, pin over, sorry, with matching balls. All right, so we'll see what these ones do. Okay, so if you saw those two shots, that was with the Columbia 300 U-turn. It's a pin up drilling, and it's a polished cover stock, 16 pounds, okay? So you saw that it got one strike, and then the other one didn't quite give me a strike. It was really delayed on picking up in the mid lane and didn't really hook that hard. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and throw my pin over ball, which is the same identical ball, just it's got a pin over, and we're gonna see how much this hooks. And then after that, I'm gonna change locations on the board, because right now I'm lining up with my feet on 35 and I'm throwing to 15. So we'll change the lineup after these next throws. Okay, so you saw the difference between ball reaction on that one. The pin over actually kicks up a little bit faster in the mid lane and hooks more into the pocket. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna go back up to the pin up ball, and I'm gonna move over and put my feet on 10 and throw up 5 and take a couple shots and see what this ball does on that lineup. Okay, so if you were watching that very closely, I didn't quite hit 5. 5 is always a danger zone when you're throwing, especially when you're lining up on 10 with your feet. So the first shot went down 7, the second shot went down board 4. And that was with the pin up, so that you can get an idea of how this ball starts to transition and hook down the lane. Now I'm gonna switch to the pin over and try to throw the same throws, but if I hit 5, don't hold it against me, okay? But I'll try for board 7 on the first shot and board 4 on the second shot. We'll see what happens. So there's one thing I want to tell you just before I wrap up this video, okay? And it's regarding your pin and finger holes and PAP, okay? Mo Pinnell with Radical Bowling, before he passed away, used to preach about this. You don't want your pin layout to be lower than the line from your finger hole to your PAP. And I'll show you what I'm talking about on this ball right here. You can see I drew the lines on the ball right there. You see that line going to my PAP right here, okay? Now you notice how this pin is above that line. You don't ever want to go below that line. That's one of the main reasons why when you're a no-thumb bowler, whether you're two-handed or one-handed, you never really run a pin down ball, okay? You risk core flop and a bunch of other crazy radical stuff. If you've got any questions on anything like that, or you want more information on that, I definitely recommend Mo Pinnell's videos that he has up from Radical Bowling when he himself is talking about this. I'll drop a link down below to the video that I'm referring to give you a better understanding about that. But I hope you did like today's video. If you did, leave a like on it, share it with a friend. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, because we're going to get a little bit more in detail, including on how I use one of these to line out my own balls or figure out what's going to work for me if I decide to buy it from either a pawn shop, thrift store, or even a bowling alley, all right? Don't forget your notification bell if you do subscribe, and I will see you next time. You guys take care. I'm going to finish bowling.